Hello, and welcome to Nerds and Stuff. My name is Martin Baker, your upcoming loop master for this, our Tales from the Loop campaign. This episode will be our character creation. We have some familiar faces at the table, some all new to the system, including myself. So we will be making characters in this episode, and if you're interested in just jumping directly to the campaign, I'll put a card up here that you can click and just jump to episode 1. Otherwise, we kind of have a base idea of the characters we want to play, and I'll intro the game, and then we'll kind of get into character creation, and then we'll, at the very end, I'll have a link to the final, or to the first video. So, if you're interested in seeing character creation, stick around for our Tales from the Loop campaign. Tales from the Loop came out, I think, last year. I got my copy at Gen Con. I was one of the few fortunate enough to do that. And this is a game set in the 80s where particle acceleration technology was kind of doubled down on by the United States and some bigger world countries, and in the 50s, kind of following World War II. So particle accelerators became like a big thing and changed the technology kind of trajectory than our current world. So robots are a thing, there's like hover ships that are a thing, and so that's the kind of world we'll be playing in. And there's a lot of really cool artwork for this. It's one of the most gorgeous role-playing books I've seen as far as thematics and stuff like that. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the principles of the loop and the kind of base principles of this game. Number 1, your hometown is full of strange and fantastic things. I suppose I should probably open the book to where it actually talks about the loops so I can extrapolate upon them. Ba, ba.
I don't know what else do you need. That's a pretty good description.
That's pretty good.
Strange and
fantastic things.
Would you say the particle acceleration was accelerated?
It was accelerated ahead of its time, absolutely. Particle.
God damn it.
And that's it.
That can't be the first joke.
It's not.
Edit it out, Martin. Edit this out.
I'm keeping them. You guys don't own clapping out on this channel. Yeah. All right, so basically particle accelerators, super big in the 50s. 30 years later, the technology that came from that is really crazy. So your world is full of strange and fantastic things. This is like the giant ships that kind of hover by on magnet discs. This is, there are a lot of things that are still very consistent with the 80s. Divorce, cocaine, rock and roll.
The good things.
The good things. We're keeping all the good things. We're throwing out all the dumb stuff, and adding robots in the middle. So I encourage you all to use your experiences as a kid with a bicycle to live through this setting. I know that not all of us were from the 80s. I myself am like a early 90s kid, but we watched, Goonies and E.T., so we have at least a C- in lore right now at this point. Cool. So one of the biggest things about this kind of thing is letting yourself be enchanted like you were as a kid. Things are strange and mysterious. Houses were kind of spooky or very inviting and warm. Seeing things through the filter of a kid and making sure that things are kind of bigger than life or more important. Like kids just, first of all, they can't explain anything, right? Second of all, they're idiots, especially when it comes to not understanding the danger of things. So make sure to extrapolate on that. Number 2, everyday life is dull and unforgiving. While we won't spend too much time role-playing this, a critical aspect of your character is daily routine, right? Irregardless of how many adventures we go on, you still have to come home and do homework. You still have to get ready for school, get ready for bed. You have to take care of your younger sister or brother. You have to do things that normal life is. This isn't just, pure just Scooby-Doo mystery solving. This is a bunch of idiot kids who get into trouble, and then eventually the trouble is resolved, and then we move on to the next thing, right? But sprinkled throughout will be scenes of everyday life. And it is everyone's job at the table to make sure that they are dull and unforgiving, and not entertaining, right? So, number 3, adults are out of reach and out of touch. If you watched any movie from the 80s where the kids are the main characters, adults are idiots.
It's true.
If they end up, usually kids tell them something and they're like, the adults are like, that's nice, sweetie, go play. You're like, hey, we found an alien, it's in our garage, blah, blah, blah. That's nice, sweetie, have fun. When they do intervene, they fuck everything up, right? Especially like an E.T., they get the government to exhume their house, and it just...
Stupid government.
Their walkie-talkie
The government
guns.
gave
Yep, expect every guy in a suit to have a walkie-talkie that he points at you menacingly. So this game will be, hopefully, until we get our hands on it, I think is very much a Steven Spielberg kind of role-playing game. When we get on it, it's going to probably be more like Monty Python. But we'll still try. We'll still try to get that old Spielberg in there. Right. Number 4, the land of the loop is dangerous, but kids cannot die. So this is kind of complicated, right? The kids get into a lot of trouble, and they can get hurt. They cannot die. That's not the kind of game I want to run. That's not the kind of game this game wants to run. But what can happen, these kids aren't just on cheat code mode or anything like that. If they suffer enough trauma or take enough conditions, then they become broken and they're removed from the scene, or they have like a mental crisis, or they're knocked unconscious, and it's pretty scary and kind of sad. And I know that at least one of the players is very much looking forward to becoming broken already, so just to see what happens.
I think, Michael, your first question is, how do I get broken?
Yeah. So,
how does this happen?
Yeah, so as we play, the kids will go on mysteries. They'll encounter trouble, and if the trouble is troublesome enough, they might suffer conditions. And the types of conditions listed, Abby, would you be so kind as to read the conditions?
Yes. Upset, scared, exhausted, injured, and broken.
Perfect. So you can take any one of the first 4, and every single time you take one of those conditions, you are encouraged to roleplay accordingly too. If you're upset, then you might have a shorter temper, stuff like that. You take these, and then you get less dice to roll mechanically. So it has both a role-playing aspect, a mechanical aspect, and if you become so inundated with conditions, eventually the 5th one, when you have to mark it, you become broken, and you cry, and you go home, and you tell your mom about it, and she says, that's nice, honey, go play. Right. Number 5, the game is played scene by scene. Some role-playing games, especially at your home table, you might just do a running narrative where you guys go to the store and buy every fucking potion of healing and all that stuff. That's fun in a lot of role-playing games, but this is not one of those games that cares about that kind of stuff. If you guys want to do montages, which is highly encouraged, gearing up montages.
Because I want to do a montage.
Yep. A kids on bike montage. Right, so we will be doing a lot of like skipping the in-between minutia. There will be scenes that showcase kids talking to adults or people that are important to them or stuff like that. But we're not going to worry about every little in-between moment. We'll just kind of skip to the next scene that seems important to the story. Right. The last principle of the loop is the world is described collaboratively, and this is one of those games where I'm going to ask a million questions, and you guys are going to help build this world with me. We will be playing in a kind of pre-made campaign in a pre-made setting of Boulder, Colorado. No, Boulder City, Nevada. Sorry. So we will be playing in Boulder City. None of us have even been there, as far as I know. So we're going to, if you're from Boulder City, Nevada, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, we're going to butcher your city and make it our own, because that's what we're going to do. So,
but we're going to make it cooler.
Yeah, we're going to make it cooler. And if you're from
physics.
Boulder City, Nevada in the 80s, then super fuck you. And let us know in the comments.
Alternate reality.
Yep. So we're going to make up stuff. We're going to make things our own. And so just expect that. But we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Do you hear
So.
that? There's people unsubscribing.
Yeah, unsubscribing or just furious keyboard strokes. Also,
Christy is a
I love your
beautiful
neck beard. Right. Okay, moving on. Setting the mood. I will be mostly responsible for setting and the kind of tone and stuff like that, but I would also highly encourage you guys, if I'm not doing a good enough job, to ask me questions about the setting so we can extrapolate upon that. You guys will have to inform some of the setting. I might ask you guys what the school looks like, what the mood of the school is, how the team is, how the sports balls ranking are and stuff like that. So not that kids
Sports balls ranking.
not that kids worry about that, but it's going to be mostly your guys' job to help me create this world, and it's my job to kind of remember the stuff we create and not make it make it full of life and real. There are 3 tips, or there's 3 kind of modes for setting the mood. One is nostalgia. The world is seen through the eyes of the kid. The childhood seen through the eyes of the childhood seen through the eyes of the players. Freedom, opportunities of discovery, to catch your first fish, climbing to the top of a tree, or driving with your dad to buy a hamburger. These are the kinds of things that really set the mood for this game, right? The kind of nostalgia of being a kid. Everyday life is boring and tedious. Adults set rules and limitations, not letting the kids decide for themselves. The ugly cap your mother compels you to wear, sweaty socks, math class every Monday morning. These are the kind of everyday life things that really plant you in your character in the world. Lastly, the machines that are created because of the technology from the loop are both part of your everyday life and also simultaneously fantastic. While they're always there with the smell of oil and ozone, the squeaking movements, blah,
Makes more sense.
and heavy strides. At the same time, they can be scary and also enchanting. How can they even exist? The grown-ups live in the delusion that they can control the machines. So the setting is full of these rich, diverse machines. And when I'm looking at the artwork from the artist that does all this, it's hard to tell what some of these machines do. And that's our job to define. There's no instructions. There's some of them in the book that say, this does this. But it's our job to decide what the machine does and how it cuts lawn and stupid shit like that.
There's not a lot of rules in this book. It's just a lot of artwork.
Yeah, it
tells
just
you make it up as you
80%
go.
art and then a bunch of D6 stuff. Yeah. Right. So, speaking on mechanics, this is a D6 game. Basically, you collect a whole bunch of dice, you roll. For every 6 you get is a success. You only need 1 to succeed, and then every 6 after that gives you bonuses and stuff like that. We'll cover more rules when we kind of get through the lore and the setting and stuff like that. I'm going to start the timer for this. Cool. All right. Tips for setting the mood. I'm just going to kind of breeze through these real quick. Set the mood early in the mystery. That will be my job. Then remember it. Once we set the mood and the tone, we don't need to extrapolate on it too much because everybody's on the same page. Everybody sees the same picture. We need to look at Simon Stallenhag's art together, which I posted. You can Google his name, Simon Stallenhag. It's a Swedish name, so it has a cool accent mark somewhere in the middle. I'll let you guess where. But his artwork is amazing. It inspired the entire role-playing game, and he has a couple art books out that are also really cool. So I look at those because they very much inform the theme and the setting. Describe details, ask questions. Remember to rely on all 5 senses, right? Even me as a GM, sometimes I forget those. So, all that good stuff. We will be starting in summer. Each one of these adventures that we'll be playing is a different season of the year.
We're not in school.
We're not in school.
I'm
And
already
thinking
excited.
about all that stuff. Also, Boulder City, Nevada is hot as fuck, right?
Yeah, it's not a good time.
Yeah, it gets up to 100 degrees during the day, sometimes even hotter. Most of your kids will be spending time at the community pool or indoors in basements, kind of lurking. The city says once once night falls, the air cools down, people come out and start doing stuff. So we'll be thinking about this as the real world, and being hot as shit when you're trying to ride your bike up a mountain to go investigate these stupid, rooms or whatever that we're finding. Cool. Home is where the heart is. If your parents are fighting, the house feels cold and unsafe. Expect a lot of parents to be fighting. Divorce rate has hit an all-time high in the 80s. So I'm going to say right now that one of you has parents that aren't fighting right now.
It's us.
Spoiler, us. Oops.
No, but the kind of things that I want to foster and kind of build with you guys is these kids can go do fantastic things and investigate and
can't escape reality
and solve life's problems, but at the same time, when they come home, their parents might be fighting about money, or their uncle might be addicted to drugs, or these kinds of things happen in the 80s, and kids, very cool. First of all,
parents
every single time he brings over a new aunt, she's really pretty, but also kind of fake. She just looks.
Why does mommy never?
She just looks plastic and sticky simultaneously, So here's the deal. We're gonna do scenes of investigating and also scenes of these kids just keeping their head down, maybe not able to comprehend what's going on completely, but being the best kid they can in that situation, in their parents fighting and stuff like that. So, deal. Once again, the adults are remote and detached. Cool. So that's kind of the base setting of the game. We can talk a little bit about America in the 80s.
Can we talk about what year specifically we will be playing?
Yes, we will be starting in the summer of 86. I chose that year because that's the summer that The Labyrinth comes out, and that's one of my favorite movies, so if there was ever a good reason to do it, that's the reason why. But also, this game highly encourages you to play in the late 80s, and yeah, so that's why we picked it. We kind of looked at some of the songs, looked at some of the movies that were coming out, and kind of based it off what we were thinking about doing. America in the 80s is the era of Ronald Reagan. It's following Watergate, and especially the Vietnam War. Low government trust, but rebuilding is a big theme, especially for adults. There are still extreme worries about a nuclear holocaust, but the end of the decade of Soviet Union recedes. So there's still bomb drills at school. There's still a lot of worry. People worry about nuclear winter like they worry about global warming nowadays. I think that's an example from the book. Underage drinking runs deep into high schools. Congress only raised the drinking age to 21 from 18 in 84. So a lot of 18-year-olds still don't give a shit, and their 16, 15-year-old brothers don't give even more of a shit. The war on drugs heats up with Nancy Reagan's Just Say No campaign. The era of free love comes to an end because of the rise of HIV and AIDS.
What a bummer.
Yeah, what a drab reason to stop doing drugs and having sex with everybody. But cocaine makes a definite resurgence, so look for that in episode 1.
Kids get high as balls.
So all four
there's
of
not
us-
actually an adventure. It's just 4 kids laying on a couch, fucked up on
Turns
coke.
out all of our problems are cocaine addiction. We just didn't talk about it before.
There's no mystery except for to find more cocaine.
It's cold. We're not laying on anything. We're running all over the place.
Yeah, you
We
guys,
don't care about the
kids
heat.
on bikes to the
That
extreme.
robot's fucking after me on the skill.
Get out of there.
Just riding your bike. All right. There are only 4 major TV stations: ABC, CBS, NBC, and PBS. Although in '86, Fox joins. So Fox is a new thing, but none of the cool programming they get in the 90s quite
Is
yet.
Mr. Rogers on at this point for
I
PBS?
think so.
I don't know.
Someone-
You tell us in the comments below. Cool.
Then do our research.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Rich families have cable TV with HBO, MTV, and ESPN. So and air conditioning. So for just kind of base thought, were any of you thinking about being extremely poor or fairly rich?
I'm extremely poor.
I think we have money, but that's
That's it.
it doesn't solve the personal problems within the family.
Money and no
Perfect.
love.
That's
Yeah,
it.
more money, more problems for this family right here. And kind of where's your family social?
Very
financial
working class.
Okay.
Like lower working class.
deal. So
Nice spectrum we've got going.
last thing, cartoons are available in the afternoons and after school instead of just Saturday mornings. Transformers, My Little Pony, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Thundercats all hit the toy shelves as well. There was recently litigation that prevented toys from also being cartoons on TV.
Right.
That was nixed. So now the wave of 80s toys hits, and that's kind of... There's actually a Netflix documentary talking about the toys that made us or something like that. That's pretty cool.
Commercialism.
Growing up in America, your grandparents all probably fought in World War II or were very influenced by the battles that happened. Parents fought or protested Vietnam, and the Cold War is heating up to dangerous levels. Cell phones are incredibly rare, and if they're present, they are the size of a brick. House phones and payphones are very prevalent. Kids start the school at the age of 5. Most kids go to public school. A lot of this stuff you guys already know, but we're going to go through it just to set the lore. I have not played a game where it's set in a different, decade, 3 or 4 removed, so that's why we're kind of going through all this stuff before character creation. Divorce rates peak in the 80s. Most kids live with their mothers, spend weekends with their fathers. Kids often grow up to come home to an empty house, tend to themselves or younger siblings. Kids listen to tunes. Rap music is brand new on the radio or cassettes. They watch movies on VCRs, VHS, and Betamax. D&D, Traveler, and Middle-earth RPG are all new tabletop role-playing games. In some areas, the games are banned as well as music such as heavy metal.
Witchcraft.
The Satanic Panic causes a lot of hand-wringing. Yeah. Cool.
God, the 80s were fucking wild.
They were crazy. And most homes don't have a computer or an air conditioning unit. The NES was released in '85, so there might be like a kid on the block or something that has an NES that you guys all crowd around his window to watch because he doesn't let the poor kids in.
Kyle.
Kyle has a Nintendo. Right.
It's a Nintendo Kyle.
Yeah, not poor Kyle. Not poor Kyle.
Good old
He's
Nintendo
different. Yep.
Kyle.
Does his dad work at Nintendo? Is that how he gets it?
Son of a bitch.
Right, things to do. I think this is the last thing before we create characters. Things to do. Most kids' everyday life is consumed with school, homework, and sports. There are bullies and budding romances and best friends are things to be aware of. It gets hot in Boulder, so kids spend a lot of time at the city pool. After school gets out, most head home around 5 p.m. for family dinner. Wealthy families have NES or maybe an Atari. A lot of kids, however, play D&D. Vacations include going to Las Vegas, which I think is like 20 miles away in this setting. The Grand Canyon, which is very, very close on the other side of Lake Mead, I believe, up there. And then Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area is somewhere you guys probably all spent a fucking extended weekend with your parents for some reason. Cool.
Somewhere to go, I
Yep,
guess.
somewhere to go. It's close. We're just going to go camping. Shut up, Denise. We're going, okay? All right, cool. So we're going to now move on to character creation. First of all, you have to choose your type. And there are several different types, such as bookworm, computer geek, hick, jock, popular kid, rocker, troublemaker, or weirdo. So we have all picked types. I'm just going to start with you. We'll go around real quick. What kid are you playing?
I'm playing Bobby, and he's a jock.
Oh, yeah, we should probably do people introductions,
Well,
right?
Nope, I'm just Bobby forever now.
Bobby.
Bobbers.
My name's Michael, and I'll
Yeah.
be role-playing as Bobby, the jock.
My name is Daniel, and I will be playing as Ethan, the computer geek.
And I am Justin. I'll be playing as Terry, the troublemaker.
Ooh, I like that. Terry the
Terry.
troublemaker, yeah.
And I'm Abby, and I will be playing Christy the bookworm.
No alliteration for you guys.
You're the only
Weird
superhero at
choice.
the table, sorry. Yep. Cool. The game is played between the ages of 10 to 15. The younger your child is, the more lucky they are. Not like relationship status or anything like that. It's just general luck in the world. When you're 15 years old, you're at the cusp of becoming a young adult. And once you hit 16 in this game, you no longer give a shit about all the dumb things that kids do, and you go on to other more important things like smoking and drinking and getting girls. And
Or guys.
Or guys, yep.
Michael, I can't. I'm not strong enough.
Right. So we'll go around real quick. Ages.
I'm 15, so this is his last time to
Yep.
hang out with the boys.
13.
I am 14.
I'm 12.
So when you pick your age, you get X amount of attribute points that go into your character based off your age. So if your age is 15, you get 15 points. Right. So these points will go into one of 4 attributes, such as body, which is the ability to jump high, run fast, fight, sneak, and climb. There is tech, which is the ability to understand machines, robots, program technological things, and open locked doors, and build things. Heart is the ability to make friends, lie, know the right people, create a good atmosphere, and persuade others. Lastly is mind, the ability to find weak points, understand people, situations, and creatures, solve riddles, understand clues, and have the right knowledge at the right time. So once again, it's body, tech, heart, and mind. These are your base attributes. So in D&D, this is your dexterity, charisma, constitution, wisdom, stuff like that. Right, so if you're 15, you have 15 points to spend. So we'll just kind of go through. I'm not going to worry about the numbers too much more for later stuff, but we'll go through and kind of give everybody an idea of what your guys' attributes are.
I'm really good with the body and the heart.
There you go.
I'm very strong at tech and mind, and very weak boy when it comes to body.
No curl-ups for this kid.
Nope, I'm pretty much just a stick
Can you
with
even-
skin on top.
Can you even lift the books that you carry? Or are
That's,
you the kid that
that's
has...
the limit. I have like a stroller kind of thing for my books that I pull along with it, like a
I
wagon.
did go to high school with a kid that had a luggage bag for his books.
Similar.
You just have to minus a couple numbers. It's fine. You're good.
Just
So mine is heavy on the body and the heart, and then tech and mind are a little bit lower.
Okay.
Mine, really high mind, pretty okay heart, and then pretty bad tech and body.
Really high mind. I like it.
Yeah.
What you have to be to watch our content. Hi, welcome to Nerds. Deal. So there is such a thing as luck points in this game. Luck points are 15 minus your age, and luck points are a mechanic that allows you to re-roll dice. So the younger the kids are, the more luck points they have, and the more they'll be able to re-roll their dice, whereas the older kids will just have more of a base dice pool. Right. So moving on, there's a list of skills, and we will tear through those super quick. Very much like D&D, your base attributes inform kind of your base numbers, and then skills can also be subsets of those. However, in this game, your base attributes gives you X amount of dice, your skills give you more dice, and then you roll and get sixes kind of situation. So, under body, each one of these has 3 sub-skills. So under body, there is sneak, which is the ability to hide and sneak. Force, which is the ability to lift heavy things, fight and endure in physically stressful situations. So it's kind of like a resilience as well as strength. And then lastly is move, your ability to climb high, balance, and run fast. Right, tech. Tech has tinker, is the ability to build and manipulate machines and other mechanical items. Program is the ability to create and manipulate computer programs and electronic devices. And calculate is the ability to understand machines and other technical systems. Next is heart. Contact is a skill, is the ability to know the right person. Charm is the ability to charm, lie, befriend, or manipulate. Lead is the ability to make others work well together and help them when they are scared, sad, or confused. Lastly is mind. The skills are investigate, is the ability to find hidden objects and understand clues. Comprehend is the ability to have the right piece of information or able to find it in the library. And empathize is the ability to understand what makes a person, an animal, or other kind of conscious thing tick, and how to find its weak spot. Perfect. So that's the skills. You, as a party, get, or as a kid, you get 10 skill points, and each one of these classes has 3 kind of beneficial career skills or whatever, where they have the ability to go higher or get easier points kind of stuff. So we have all gone through and made our skills. We're not going to go through the numbers because that's kind of just the minutia I don't really want to cover in this. But we'll just go through and talk about what your 3 key skills were, kind of thing, for your character. Just give them an idea. So for the jock, they
are force, move, and contact.
Okay.
But I opted to go really low on force because I'm playing Bobby as a baseball player. So I was not necessarily thinking force even though like what you described wasn't necessarily like contact. So the other things I opted for were going to be in charm, lead, and there's another one.
So just a little bit more of like a social character who is naturally strong and talented and stuff like that. Okay, cool.
So my key skills are program, calculate, and comprehend.
And once again, let's do your kid's class or whatever as well, just to kind of...
Ethan, the computer geek, has program, calculate, and comprehend. So very, very good with tech, building things, and understanding situations.
Cool.
All right, so the troublemaker is force, sneak, and lead. So he's big, he's tough, he's also very sneaky, but then like he doesn't give two shits, so people follow him because they know like this guy will take the punch.
Yeah, he has the confidence that he just does stuff, and everybody else is like, wow, he looks like he knows what he's doing.
Right.
Yep. Until you guys get in deeper trouble. Yeah, perfect.
And then Christy's a bookworm, which means that I had investigate, comprehend, and calculate. And Daniel and I's characters have two that are similar, so I put most of mine in investigate because he didn't have that one and I did.
Perfect. All right, moving on. We have luck points, skill points. Perfect. Okay, every single kid has an iconic item. And in the movies, this might be their special bike or their magnifying glass or anything like that. This iconic item gives you bonus dice when you use it in situations that it is eligible for use in. And it gives you 2 bonus dice, and it is an item that, like, for Velma and Scooby-Doo, it's her glasses. You know, whenever she loses them, she's worthless. I don't know, when she's wearing them, she gets 2 bonus dice for stuff. I don't know. But, you know, but it's something that kind of defines your character. It's also, it says a lot about your character as well as having a mechanical benefit. So I know each of the kids actually have like kind of recommended iconic items. So we'll just go around and either kind of create them or brainstorm some. So does anybody have their iconic item set yet?
I was thinking baseball bat or ball.
Okay.
One of those.
And so I know baseball team, were you also on the baseball team? Is that what we were thinking as well?
We were on the baseball team together.
Okay. Deal. So iconic, is there, what positions would you guys say you play?
My character plays center field.
Okay.
Pitcher?
Yeah, you would.
Deal. So, all right, so you're going to have baseball bat. You just
I was
always
thinking ball. Cause
especially as a pitcher.
Yeah.
That would make a lot more sense too. Cool. And then, does anyone else have their iconic items?
So we had talked I talked about previously about wanting to do a lightsaber, but I'm actually thinking about changing that.
Okay.
Because I think I want to lean more into the computer geekness of it. So I think I want my iconic item to be a computer that my dad and I have built together.
Okay. Now,
Can I say this is not nearly as fun as the lightsaber option?
but also I want to throw out there too that these items should be stuff that you can take with you.
Carry around.
Okay. I just said that because the recommended iconic item in the book is a computer.
Okay.
Deal.
So
Deal.
I could do that, or another thing that I was thinking about is a thing that my dad and I do together is we play D&D together.
Okay.
And so I could have my dice bag be an iconic item.
It's
Okay.
like the Nintendo Power Glove, but since it's still the 80s, it's like a full suit for like a basic computer.
Deal. Because I was also going to say, with the technology, we can make up something like a sort of smaller computer that has limited functions that you can travel with if you wanted to do computer. Because I'm totally fine with that, and I don't, it does have computer listed as one of the things. I want you to be able to take it with you, but at the same time, it needs to be a little bit more clunky and a little bit more primitive in its usage.
Let's go ahead and go with the dice bag then, if that works.
Deal. All right.
I super wish you hadn't brought up glasses as an example.
No, that if you want to.
Yeah, it was either that or book, but I prefer the glasses because that makes more sense to have. Like, I'm just tote around a book everywhere. I mean, I can, but I like.
Yep. So for some of these too is like how would you use that in specific situations besides just wearing them?
Right.
Like in a baseball, you throw it. A dice bag, you might.
We need random numbers generated, quick!
Yep. So or like there's
like marbles on the floor type thing, like caltrops.
I think with the dice.
With his too, he's talking about how that's his connection with his dad. He can use it in a less physical way,
sentimental.
more of
Right.
I overcome this fear because I have, or
Exactly.
that would be a mental strength or mental thing.
One thing I want to come back to is on the cover of this book, a kid has a hockey stick, another kid has like a computer, like a traveling computer. Another kid has a special kind of BMX bicycle.
Is that a
and
gun?
then the last person has a fishing rod.
Oh.
That looks like that's what Swedish people use as guns.
They're very lax.
Yeah,
with
we
their
might shit
rifle
on the
laws.
Swedish a little bit just because this game is made by Swedes. So,
So
no,
for Swedish,
nothing but love. Yeah.
Fuck you.
Fuck you and your guns.
No, they made the game. We love
Yeah, they made the game. Love you.
It's just
Yeah.
Boulder.
I
Just
think
Boulder City.
That's Boulder City.
I think the glasses work thematically since my highest one is investigate, and
Okay.
so like I have to see, I have to use my eyes.
Okay.
It could be a magnifying glass on top of that. Just a.
Oh God.
Yeah. All right,
Should
and
have been a
then
tinkerer.
last.
I think everyone should know what the Troublemaker has for his iconic items. Can anyone guess?
A chain.
I'm thinking cigarettes.
Cigarettes and a lighter, of
Yep,
course.
cigarettes and a lighter, of
it's
course.
the suggestion in the book, but also like, of course, this kid's a
Of
smoker.
course. Yep. So how long has he been smoking?
He's only 14, so I wouldn't say very long. Maybe like a year or two.
Okay. Did he pick it up from somebody like his dad or an
He
older
picked
friend?
it up from his friend at the arcade.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, more on that later. Stay tuned for that. Right. So I want you guys to think about too. Also, for iconic items, if we play the first adventure and you're like, God, my thing just was worthless. I could not think of a single way to use it. In between sessions, you can always change your iconic item. In between mysteries, sorry. So after this first full adventure, you can change your iconic item, and also any other items that you might have gained that have mechanical purpose are lost, destroyed, or confiscated by the police. Is some of the stuff the book says.
Police.
I think for one of them it says if it's a runaway robot, the police come and collect it. Yeah. So you can swap out your item for a new iconic item, and remember this item is very close to you and very important to who you are as a character. Cool. Right, next is a problem. All kids have a problem. You might keep keep your problem to yourself as a secret, or the other kids might know about it or actively help you overcome that problem. The problem is part of everyday life and something that worries you as a child. It is the signal from you to the game master. Put my kid in this kind of trouble. So when we're thinking about your problems, this can be both at home or sometimes on the mysteries. Now, because we're playing a pre-made campaign, some of the mysteries might be harder to incorporate the problem, but you can bet most of your problems will actually have ramifications in the everyday life scenes. So now we'll be going through picking a problem. And if anybody has their problem already kind of thought up or designed, let's just start with that person. So it looks like two of you. We'll go with Daniel.
Yeah, so my mom doesn't live with us, and I've never met her.
Oh.
My dad tells me that she lives in Las Vegas, which is only 20 minutes away, but I've still never met her.
Well,
She's in Mexico.
That just made me sad.
This game's
So-
gonna hurt you.
I know. I'm not strong enough for this game.
100%. It'll be full of cool stuff like, hey, we just made a robot friend, but also my parents are getting a divorce.
Oh no, our robot
Here's the
friend
thing.
died.
Yeah. Will I dream?
The reason I'm this far away from the camera is so you can't see my tears. The constant stream.
We
of
just got a
tears.
camera upgrade thanks to our generous Patreon backers, so you can see her salty tears in high definition.
thanks, Patreon backers. You're the best.
You're the breast. All right, cool. So your mom doesn't live with you. However, rumor has it she lives in Las Vegas, and that hurts really bad because
Yeah.
it's 20 miles away.
Yeah.
Cool.
Don't say
All
that
right.
about his mom.
Right. So perfect.
That she's a stripper?
No, this is a hooker.
She might be. Well, you can't be in Vegas.
No, I mean
place
they
to be.
drive you
I mean, you
outside
can't
of
anywhere.
Vegas.
You can in Reno, or, yeah, in, like, most of Nevada.
This is the 80s, and particle acceleration.
You can also do it now. Prostitution is legal in Nevada, guys, in most of Nevada, except for Las Vegas.
It's
Well,
not like necessarily just legal though. You have to have a special brothel.
Yeah.
You have to have a permit.
I have a hooker license.
On the streets, it's still legal to be.
All right. Moving on. Your problem.
Well, now it's a bit awkward because it's very similar to Daniel.
You're addicted to hookers. Your mom's friends are hookers.
No,
You're in love with his mom.
I was also gonna have a single parent that was my father.
Listen, this is the 80s.
Right.
I would be mad if you all didn't have single parents. Like if you lived with your dad and mom. No. Oh!
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say that his mom died when he was young. His father
She lives at the
was
cemetery.
so the problem is he has to take care of his father.
Okay.
His father was an ex-athlete who thought he was better than he was, and he got injured and couldn't continue being an athlete, so he became a huge drunk.
Okay.
And so now this kid has to basically take care of himself and his dad at the same time.
Deal. How does your kid understand the circumstances of his mom's death? Does he know all the details? Does his dad just allude to it, or
No, I think he knows. I think he was probably, he's probably about 7, 8 years old, so like he remembers it. Obviously with the memory of a 7 or 8 year old.
Yeah.
But
How did she die?
yeah, we're gonna go with cancer.
Okay.
Oh, no, let's go with a car wreck.
Okay. What about a cancer car wreck? No.
Yeah.
I already wrote down cancer.
She suffered a cancer attack while she was driving her car.
Man,
You know, those cancer attacks.
Cancer's the worst.
Yeah. No, she let's say she got in a car wreck. And so he also kind of idolizes his mother because he was 7 or 8 when she died, and so didn't get old enough to know her faults.
Yeah.
And so like he will sometimes get very angry at his dad because he's like, "Mom would have done this, and you won't do this."
Was your dad involved? Like, was he driving and she died?
No,
and
she was on her way home from work.
Okay.
And so that's part of what also, because he was just like, my dad was already kind of just like, oh, my life should have been better. And then he loses his wife, and then he just fell off the edge and was just done being a decent person.
Deal. Did she work at the Loop, or did she work somewhere else in town? Because remember, most of the, just as kind of context, most of the people that live in town
yeah, she worked at the Loop.
either work at the Loop. A lot of people work at Hoover Dam, which is very close. It's on our map, as well as a lot of people do this kind of support stuff for either of those facilities. This city was formed to build Hoover Dam. So
Yeah, so she was actually pretty successful.
okay,
She wasn't like a high up person at the Loop or anything, but she was.
but she was like a breakout scientist or something.
Yeah, and we were a solid middle class family before the car wreck, and everything went downhill after that.
Oh man,
Deal.
Justin. I could just
There has to be a reason I'm a troublemaker.
want to be happy.
Oh, he's happy now. He gets to smoke.
He's smoking makes
Smoking
everyone
solves
happy.
all your problems.
Listen
So-
here, kids. Have a
So-
cigarette.
Your mom was driving home from work at the Loop. How does both you and your dad feel about that facility?
I think I am very interested in it. I think because I'm like, my mom worked there. That place is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad hates it.
Deal.
And he also thinks that there was something fishy with the car accident.
Okay.
He doesn't believe the
Deal.
police's story.
So he probably hates the he
yeah,
looks
he
at
hates
those
police. He hates all
the
because
government,
he
yeah.
thinks they're lying to him about how his wife died.
Deal. Perfect. And it probably complicated things
His
because
wife.
she might have
My dad.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She might
I
have
was
gotten
like-
a car accident on the within the secure zone.
Yes.
And so they wouldn't even let him in to see what was happening until like hours later.
Right.
And so there's a lot of mystery, which could have been very fine and under protocol and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just for someone who doesn't trust that kind of stuff,
And
looks
they
very
said that she
suspicious.
was under the influence of drugs when she crashed her car.
Ooh.
And we were like, she doesn't do drugs.
Do you
So-
know that?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Okay.
Yes.
Deal.
Well, I guess
That's
I
part
think
of
it's
the
better
lore.
if I don't.
That's part of the lore, yeah.
So I don't know why my dad is so mad and believes that they're lying. Because
Okay.
all I know is that
Deal.
she got in a car wreck and nobody.
Deal. Going back, because I want to ask a billion questions during this. How long have you not known your mother, or like when did your mom leave, or
I've never known my mother.
okay, as long as a memory forming
Yeah.
child, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Deal. Does your dad date anyone else for both of you?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I think he has had like
Just your mom? Is that what you said?
Except there's infidelity, right?
I think
Anyway.
he's had like female friends,
Okay.
But like he's never introduced someone to me as his girlfriend.
Okay. And he's so I'm trying to think the best way to do this, because we have a lot of ideas floating around, some that we talked about off camera, some that we're going to get to. For your character, I know you have like the idea that your dad works, he owns his own business in town. Mm-hmm. It's probably not wildly successful because it's really new, kind of not cutting edge, but it's very new to the market.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the business?
So we talked a little bit about it off camera, but I think I want to specify it as like a computer shop, like a computer parts shop. So if people have like issues with their computer, they can bring it in, or if they want to build their own computer, my dad will help teach people how to do that. He has a couple of video games, of the newer ones, if kids want to play them or try them out, but mostly it's just computers. He also has some side rooms that he lets kids come in and play either Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer. Like, he lets nerds have a safe place to play.
Cool.
Did your dad sell Nintendo Kyle his Nintendo?
I don't think so, because I think it's just computers.
Nintendo Kyle had to drive to Las Vegas to get Nintendo. Yeah.
Nintendo Kyle's a real character.
He's already the best. He's already the deepest character.
It's just one character. He does his own mysteries at the same time as ours.
And he can do it by
He
himself.
doesn't need backup. He just has sunglasses when he walks out of the loop facility.
It'll just be a DM game with Martin when we're not here. Nintendo
All right, Kyle.
Adventures.
You find yourself deep within the woods. Yep. Right. Cool. So your dad probably spends a lot of time at work. Mm-hmm. He does what kind of maintains his free time? Because he's probably a little bit lonely. He's probably looking for love.
Yeah, I would say so. He spends, he's open from like 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So he works almost the entire day. And then the rest of his time is pretty much either taking care of me, helping me with my homework, teaching me how to build computers. Mm-hmm. And my dad and I, several times a week, will just sit down and play Dungeons and Dragons one-on-one because I can't find anyone else to play with me. So my dad just runs solo scenarios with me all the time.
Mandatory friends at the table, but they don't play D&D with me.
It used to be Nintendo Kyle till he got his Nintendo.
Oh no!
I love your dad.
Yeah. And then lastly, single child?
Yes.
Okay. Going back with your stuff, single child as well, and dad is too much of a mess for anyone.
Yeah, I was thinking about whether he was I think it's just a neglectful relationship. I don't think it's necessarily abusive. He can't take care of anyone.
Deal. Does he have women come around, or are people pretty turned off by his attitude?
I think for the most part people just avoid him. I think if he does have women, it's for like one night, and it's not a good person.
Someone he picked up at the bar or elsewhere. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. So coming back for other problems.
What's your problem?
I think we need to state that Michael and I are playing as siblings.
This is true. Yep.
We keep pointing at like both of us. Like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Not yet. Yeah. Yep. There's probably a better way to do this character creation episode. Let us know in the comments below, and then we'll read that weeks later after we've already done this and played several sessions of the game. So, perfect. So, let's talk about your guys' problems. You guys are siblings. Are your parents married?
Yes.
They are married.
Okay. They're almost like a happy family.
You said something. I don't think we want to do this.
Nope.
Is there different households? Okay, we're at the same household, but there's definitely some like marital issues, and it's not the best.
We used to love each other.
Life. Well, I think like we still love each other, and we just don't know why they can't get along.
Yeah. So things are on the rocks at home a little bit. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I think that's going to be my problem is that I'm 12 and I don't understand why.
Mom and dad fight so much.
Like I just want everyone to be happy.
Okay.
And.
Well, now you're just talking about Abby.
Hey now. Hey.
And where did the seesaw go?
Where did the seesaw go? I just wanted everyone to be together.
Deal. So it's kind of don't understand why mom and dad fight so much, and deep down want to try and help them.
But I'm 12.
Yeah.
And like very fantasy oriented child of just like it's fine.
Yeah.
We can love.
Just you're always like making mom and dad hug each other when you're in the room. You're like, Dad, you should give mom a hug, and then you see like the very bitter hug.
So she's constantly trying to parent trap them.
Can I tell a sad story from my actual life, but clap it out so it's not on there for my parents
In
to hear?
between sessions.
Okay.
Yeah, but definitely say that. Right. And Michael.
My problem is I struggle to keep my grades up, and if I don't keep my grades up, I can't play on the team.
And you're our best pitcher.
I'm your only pitcher.
Oh.
Boulder City is very small.
More than one pitcher. Have you ever played baseball before?
Not in Boulder
Sorry.
City.
Like, I'm your only good pitcher.
We have a robot pitcher. I am throwing unit XJ12.
Aren't there pitching machines?
I mean, there are, but
There's
they
also-
can't aim and stuff. They just shoot in one
That's
spot.
fair.
There's also like hitting machine. Where everything's being outsourced. They took my kids.
All right, next is drive. Now, when we talk about drive, your drive is the reason you expose yourself to the dangers in this world, in difficult situations to solve mysteries with your friends. So this isn't necessarily just your drive as a kid, but your drive, the thing that kind of keeps you going when things are getting a little bit spooky and they're getting a little bit dangerous. These are the kinds of things that make you want to make bad decisions as a kid. They're very closely tied with pride, but also your drive, like I said, it just kind of what keeps you going alongside your friends. So, like, example for the bookworm, they give...
Why don't you do an example for one that's not me?
because everybody else has
I
theirs
could
on their phone.
Do one for mine, because I'm
Okay.
doing basically my example.
Deal.
So
Smart.
the drive, one of the drives is I'll do anything to get away from home.
Okay.
And that's basically what I'm doing, is just anything to escape the home life.
Which is probably why you hang out with these kids to begin with.
Right. It just needs time where you look back, I can just be a kid for a while and not have to worry about things.
Deal. So even if things are getting a little bit spooky, it's still better than being home with Dad.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
Well, I mean, like,
sure, there's a robot ripping kids in half, but I really just don't want to deal with my
But when
dad.
when you're dealing with a robot ripping people in half, that's all you have time to deal with.
It's not.
That's true.
It's not
When
his
you're,
father ripping
when
his
you're
own
in
life
school,
in half.
you're thinking about what happens when I go home.
Yep.
You know, and you think about how do we afford rent?
I like how every single thing that's ever been said on this channel, Abby's like, oh,
Man. Oh, bother.
I
All
would
right.
already die for all of these children, and it's a problem.
Who else has a drive that they're feeling pretty certain about?
I love finding new technology.
Okay. And there is a lot of new technology to be discovered in this world.
It's the one thing that makes me not a coward,
Aw.
is when I can explore new things.
Yeah, and not only that, your dad is probably really fascinated with the loop and the technology that comes out of there, and so like anytime you have an opportunity to bring something home and show it to him, especially like a piece of scrap on the side of the road,
Right.
you don't know what has value, and you bring it home, and sometimes your dad gets really excited about what he finds. He might strip a computer chip out or something, you know? Cool.
And I do anything to make my dad smile.
Yep.
So this is a fun game of make Abby cry now.
Don't worry, I'll hurt Daniel's kid, and then it'll balance it out. Mostly his mom will come back, but she'll need money or something. I don't know.
Oh, no.
All right.
Quit. I'm
All right.
done.
He's gonna flirt with his mom, not knowing it's his mom.
Some Back to the Future
Oedipus
garbage.
Rex situation or
Yeah.
Oedipus situation.
Deal. What else are we thinking about for drives?
I was thinking one of the examples they had was it's the right thing, and I wasn't sure if this would be along the lines of like protection. I think he's very team oriented, and he has his little sister that he has to protect. So anything that he can keep in his circle and protect and maintain, he wants to do. But he isn't necessarily the best about doing that with himself, like with his grades, instead of just like sitting down and actually just like doing his homework. So he'll stick up for people he cares about.
Okay.
But so
So-
either
So let's boil that into like a phrase or a short sentence is like, do anything to protect others.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
paladins.
I don't know if all your little noises are coming across on the microphone. But
I hope they are.
The reactions will.
this is,
Don't.
aw.
All right, Abby, it's your turn to make everybody else swoon. What's your kid's
No one
drive?
else is gonna make fun noises for me.
I will.
Thank you.
I will.
Mine's pretty similar to Daniel's actually. I think.
Aw.
Shut up. I really like fantasy. Like, I read books all the time, and I want to just go out and find something fun and magical
Adventure is out there.
Yeah.
Like it.
Shut up.
That was sincere.
You're that girl from Up with
A
the
little
goggles.
bit.
Yeah.
The one that dies in the montage in the
Oh
first
no! Why
episode.
would you? It was good for a second. It was pure.
I forgot that.
We're talking about the kid, remember? Not the grown-up.
Well,
it's sad.
it's a
it can't
Tales
have
from
kids.
the Loop.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're gonna tear your hearts out.
Yep. The rules state that these kids can't die,
Doesn't
but
mean
they
can't
wish
at
they
least
would have.
cry.
But can their friends die?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
the NPCs can die.
Nintendo Kyle, no!
Oh, he had so much to live for. All right.
The Atari's coming out next year.
You were gonna love the Sega Genesis, Kyle!
Oh man. All right. Next is
Damn.
pride. And pride is described as every kid has a pride, something that makes them feel strong, important, and valuable. Pride may be well known to the group or a secret. The game master should use pride to put you in trouble by setting up scenes that highlight or threaten your pride. So, an example, we'll grab an example from Hick. A pride might be, the machines will one day conquer the world. Oh, my machines.
Oh, like what?
I help other people. You know.
Very different things.
Yeah.
Either I'll conquer or help. Those are the two options.
It's either a supervillain or a superhero. All right, does anyone have a pride that they're particularly prideful of?
I do.
All right, Abby.
I think just I know that I'm smart, and I know that I have a sense of curiosity.
Similar to Abby, I know that I know the most about computers.
Okay.
In this school.
Mine is actually, I can do anything on my own.
Now, also, just as a note, I don't, obviously, I've played with you before, but I don't want that to become a thing in role-playing to where you separate yourself from the kids during mysteries and stuff like that.
It would be more of a situation of, where it would be just like, there's a time when he has to do something for himself, and he would lean on that.
Yeah. And also, for you at home, nobody likes a fucking lone wolf character. Grow the fuck up.
Yeah. Grow the fuck up. Boulder City.
God, Boulder City!
You're a Boulder City
Serious
bitch.
right now? Okay. I just like how that last bit, just the audio was just red.
Yeah, it's gonna be cut out.
I feel so bad for that one person from Boulder City that's like, why?
That plays a lone wolf.
Yeah.
You specifically.
Everyone knows your shitty rogue is from Boulder.
His name's Kyle.
Oh, no.
Kyle would never. Kyle is a team player.
Well,
Kyle's a saint.
Kyle's a cleric.
Oh, no, this is poor Kyle.
No, this is Sega Genesis Kyle.
Oh, no!
My God. Poor Kyle, after all.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a Sega Genesis. What is that?
So did I, but I was horribly poor.
All of like the pieces are falling together. It's like,
We're not playing Tales from the Loop. We're unraveling Abby's history. No. This is group therapy.
This is actually an intervention. We just staged it as a...
All right, tell me more about this aspect of yourself. Christy Campbell.
Oh no!
All right, lastly, we need a pride from you, I believe.
I was gonna go with captain of the baseball team.
Okay.
Is that...
I kind of like going off that, too, is like maybe the position was hotly contended at the start of the season. Mm-hmm. And you beat out that other, poor Kyle or something. That's all he lived for was to be a pitcher.
No!
Yeah.
Poor Kyle.
He was a pitcher. That's the only thing that made sense in his life.
Well, fuck you, Kyle.
No, but I just like that maybe you competed and then you beat out maybe another kid moved in from town from a bigger city where there's a lot more opportunity, that kind of thing, to where that would make you a lot more prideful, is like,
I didn't just beat everyone in
earned
Boulder.
this.
I
Yeah.
beat the kid that moved from Vegas.
Yeah, the blonde
But he's
kid.
also a loser.
Oh no,
he just moved
this
from
kid's
Vegas.
from L.A.
Oh.
He's blonde hair, blue eyes. Yeah. Yeah,
Looks like him.
his parents are in hiding because they were Nazis.
That's Heinrich. Heinrich Smith.
You know, it's had to be really good at sports to beat this kid out with eugenics.
Oh yeah. Well, let's take a look here. We're about 30. Oh shit, we're quite farther than I thought we were. Yeah.
We talked a lot about Nintendo Kyle. To be fair.
We're just gonna cut all. We're just gonna do super cut of Nintendo Kyle. the next is we will define your relationship to other kids and other NPCs. So we've already defined that these two are siblings. We have a younger sister, older brother. And I know that you two play on the baseball team together. How did... usually these name tags have names on the back, so I don't have to look at this. How did Ethan get involved with these kids, or a kid in general?
I think so. Christy and I go to school together. We're in the
Same
same grade, and we're both smart, so we take a lot of the same classes, any like accelerated style classes. So I know Christy really well. I have a huge crush on Christy.
Okay.
But also don't know how to interact with girls because there's never been one in my life.
I love the scene that already happened in this story where you talk to your dad to ask for advice on talking to girls.
Yes.
And it
It just
doesn't
silence.
go well.
yeah.
Oh no!
Hey, Dad, how do you talk to girls?
he just, I'm gonna go to my room now. Yeah. And then you just hear him sobbing over a picture of your mom.
No!
Or makes a joke like, "You roll for charisma, son," and then he walks away and just.
You just unlocked the key to my mind, like, that's a joke I should not make.
Perfect. All right. So, same grade. You probably know him a little bit. Are you intimidated by him a little bit?
Oh, very much
Okay.
so. Anybody on any sports team I am scared of.
Not only that, but it's the older brother of this
Girl
Did
that I
you
have a
break
crush on.
something? I like your reaction where you're like, not on the internet.
I broke my pencil.
I'll be known as Abby Broken Pencil on the internet.
No!
Kyle, help!
Kyle!
Give me some of your Nintendo magic. All right. So let's talk about some of the relationships that aren't clearly defined. Bobby, what do you think about Ethan? Will you write your name on the back of your name tag, please?
I would probably just go with the annoying kid that's just there.
Your sister's
He's just-
friend.
Yeah, he's just there. It's not like he's not bad. He's just there.
Also, you're the captain and star
not-
pitcher.
there's not
and
a lot
he's
learned to like
D&D,
interact with him.
Star Wars, computer stuff.
What-
and you guys have nothing to do.
What about something like if you're struggling with grades, what if I like tutored you in math?
We aren't there yet in the story.
Young kid.
Yeah, that'd be funny if he's several grades below you and he's helping you get better grades.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's an interesting
I like
relationship.
I don't think we've reached that point in our relationship yet, though. But for sure, I don't know. Maybe
You can, but
get
maybe
there
it's just
eventually.
starting. Or
You're
something.
15.
Okay.
Time's up, pal.
You gotta get grades to get out of town. You're desperate at this
You're right.
point. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a very I'm terrified to tutor you, but like a teacher
I
knew
guess-
that I was really good at math and you were struggling.
So here's, I guess, in public, he's the annoying kid, but like we both know, we have this unspoken rule that like he's in charge when I go over to his house for tutoring.
Deal.
Or you could no, you come over to my house because you said there's some reason like that you can't do it at your house, but you just want to be over at this house.
Yeah.
Deal. So Terry, what is your? We obviously know a little bit of what is your relationship with Bobby, right? You're center fielder. He's kind of the captain. How did you guys, just playing together, or were you friends before baseball?
No, I think we became friends during baseball.
Okay.
I think he was the one person that didn't look down on me because everybody knows I'm the poor kid. My dad
With the crazy dad.
My dad gets thrown in the drunk tank and they all make fun of me.
Aw.
And he was the one guy who didn't.
Hey, all I care about is if you can throw a ball good.
So I would defend him to the death.
Deal. Absolutely. What about the other characters?
I
Like
think
his little sister.
I think Christy, he doesn't necessarily like that much because she thinks she's better than people. And he's not dumb, but he's not smart, and so he doesn't like having people around that are smarter than him.
Mm-hmm.
And she likes to show people, from what I've heard you say, that she's smarter than them.
Yeah. Well, she's
So-
very
so I don't think
intelligent.
it's a contentious relationship, but there's just a little bit of she thinks she's better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what do you think about Ethan?
Ethan, I think he likes playing video games. 'Cause he likes to go to the arcade. And so Ethan has connections to a guy that does video games and computers. And so I think it's a bit of like, hey, if I hang out with this kid, I can get some cool stuff to do.
I was
Yeah.
also thinking about one possibility of like you were wandering outside one day and my dad knows the story of your dad and like invited you in and like fed you and like we don't do it all the time, but you know that if you need a place, then my dad is willing to help you. So like,
how does that affect our relationship?
so like that's like you and I
That's how
hang
we
out
could've
through
met,
that,
sure.
and so occasionally you'll just hang out at the computer shop with me if you don't want to go home.
Right.
And so we're not super close, but every now and then we can talk about video games.
Right, so let's talk about anchors, and then we'll maybe talk a little bit about other NPCs and stuff like that. And we'll get to NPCs a lot more when we start playing the game and during everyday life scenes and stuff like that. So anchors are both NPC that's very important to your life and also a mechanical kind of character in the game. All kids have an anchor, a person that you can go to for support, comfort, and care. It can be a friend, parent, teacher, or neighbor. It cannot be another kid. I know in the past, I know you already have an anchor, which will be Coach. And what is Coach's name? So just give me Coach's last name.
Johnson.
I was also
Perfect.
going to use a Johnson, so
It's a very prevalent name in
Yeah.
America.
I was gonna go with Bobby again, but then I remember that was my name.
Coach Bobby. Maybe that's why you love him so much. Because his name is Bobbert
That's
as
maybe why
well.
he shows like favoritism towards me.
Yeah. His name
I
is,
see a lot of me and you.
Yep, his name is Bobbert as well. Yeah. All right. Does anyone else have their anchor?
Yeah, I don't know his name yet, but he's the guy that works at the arcade.
Gary Gygax. Are we
Brian.
just using real life people now?
Brian's fine. And he's like, I'm going to say he's probably like in his early 30s.
Okay.
And he's working at a... So he's not like well together, but
Does
he
he
kind of took...
does he own it or does he just manage it?
I think he's like a manager there.
Okay.
But like he kind of became like a big brother figure to me growing up.
Okay.
And so like he would let me play games for free after hours and stuff, let me hang out there.
is he the one that got you the cigarettes?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
no,
what I
he's,
meant.
he's the
Okay.
one that...
I was waiting for your aww.
No, shut up.
Wait, oh, that's a really good figure in your life, but he buys you cigarettes.
So like,
too.
yeah, there'd be like one time where I had to like drag my dad home from the bar carrying him blocks.
I mean, at least you got.
And they'd be like, man, you need one of these.
Yeah.
And that's how I started smoking.
Deal, perfect.
So he's not a great anchor, but he's mine.
Listen, he cares for you mostly
Yes.
just like 2-player co-op arcade game. You guys just
Right.
play it and all your conditions are healed. Yeah. Which means we'll have to figure out what cool 80s games we play.
Yeah.
We'll just watch Tron. We'll
Yeah,
just watch
yeah.
Tron. Yeah.
Oh, can we actually?
Yes, not on camera though.
Just
It's just us watching Tron going, oh, that's a good game.
We're very funny
We're
when we
gonna
watch
mystery
movies.
science theater.
Yeah.
Mine's my father, Jeff
Okay.
Jeff Ramos.
What's your last name?
Hart.
Jeff Hart?
Obviously, you're very close with your father. What makes him someone you can confide in like that versus someone else?
The fact that he will always listen.
Okay.
He rarely understands the struggles that I'm going through, but he will always listen and do that very parent thing of it'll be okay kind of thing.
I like to think that Jeff also uses D&D adventures as
Yes,
as
it's like a
those
therapy kind of
parallel or like the parallel stories. Like
Yeah.
remember when we were in the Mirkwood?
Yeah.
You're talking about a problem you're dealing with. And he's like, remember when we were in the Mirkwood and you pulled out the laser? You know, you pulled out the magic sword and you killed those goblins. Just think about that with your bullies.
Yeah,
Words.
what's the
Just-
lesson there?
I don't
Your
know.
words are your magic sword, and you have to slay the
No.
goblins
Yeah.
of your homework.
God bless Jeff.
Jeff's the best character.
Yeah,
Not better than
2020.
Nintendo Kyle.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Have you been
Nintendo
listening?
Kyle hasn't warmed my heart yet. He's a goof. Goof Kyle.
Yeah.
You know he just got back from volunteering in Kenya, right?
Oh, Nintendo Kyle, you shouldn't have.
Yeah, back then he was Kenyan Kyle.
He donated 12 million Nintendos to the Kenyan people.
But yet one of us can't even get one. Come on.
Fuck, Kyle.
Kyle.
He
Damn
invented
it.
the thing.
For just
Okay,
5
Whoa.
cents a day.
His dad does work at Nintendo though. We need an anchor from you.
His name is Kyle Miyamoto.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might just do like an abbreviated character creation after this one. Just like, hey, I'm Bobby. I'm a jock. It's just like a 3-minute character creation episode.
Without
and
Kyle.
We just the outro is just talking about
Kyle.
Nintendo Kyle. Yeah.
So we've already established that I don't have, like, my parents just aren't around. And you're always at practice, so I thought that I probably had to go to a neighbor all the time to be babysat because I'm 12.
I would also say that in the 80s, babysitters were like a rarity too.
Yeah.
Especially if your parents are like kind of. I was almost thinking, because you're a bookworm, what about like a librarian or something?
See, and I also thought that, but then I was like, man, I bet everyone who's ever played this game who plays a bookworm probably picked a librarian.
But also, fuck them, first of all.
What about
it was
then
either-
a bookstore person?
Well, here's the thing. It's either that. Well, I was gonna get into the fact that like my neighbor had like a ton of books there.
Okay.
So like it might not even be like a babysitter. It was just like I have nothing to do. I'm gonna go hang out at Mrs.
So it's kind of like
house.
a widow.
Yeah, like kind of thing. Or it's Nintendo Kyle's mom, but like.
What if she's like a low...
She wouldn't let Kyle have a Nintendo.
No.
What if she's like an author that wrote like one book?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
she's
like.
local.
Yeah,
Well,
she's
that's
not
the
like
thing.
a huge author, but just like she writes books.
I wanted to be like kind of very close to the house, like that she just has a ton of books. She may have written
Okay.
one book, but she's the reason I started reading as much, or we bonded over it, and she was like, "Here's some books you should read."
Is she also an English teacher?
She could be, yes.
Like
Yeah.
local
Because
high school?
I would. Yeah, I would like to incorporate some of these anchors back into the school because some of these scenes will be in school. And
Oh, Brian
That's
sells
it.
drugs at the school.
and Jeff buys drugs at the school.
Oh, Jeff is a good man.
Don't you sully Jeff's name.
He's not bad. Just
Actually, I was gonna.
stop.
Would it be possible for my dad to be like the volunteer head of the AV club?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course he is.
Absolutely.
Good old Jeff.
He does volunteer work in his free time. And that's why maybe sometimes you're both busy doing stuff until dinner time or whatever. Yeah. So let's create a name for this local
J.K.
author
Rowling.
slash.
J.K. Rowling. Mrs. Stevens.
Next is choosing your favorite song. And I know I've given that kind of as homework prior to this point. We did playlists and Pandora or various websites. I can't remember. It wasn't Pandora. Spotify.
Spoofy?
Right. So favorite. I'm gonna write down favorite song next to my cheat sheet right here. All right. Let's start with Bobby. What's Bobby's?
Don't forget about me.
Okay.
Don't you. Alright, that's all we can do.
Thank you. Daniel.
The Star Wars theme song.
All right, Justin.
Mine is I Love Living in the City by Fear.
Perfect. And Abby.
You helped me out a lot with this because you let us do it in 1986, which means that Labyrinth had come out. And I'm a little fantasy bitch. And I like Jim Henson, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, and so I really like David Bowie. And Starman by David Bowie.
Okay. Deal.
Will be.
For a second, my half chub was growing under the table when you were like Labyrinth, and I was like, "Is it Magic Dance?
Yeah,
Is
No.
it Magic Dance?
I was sure it
Is
was
it Magic
Magic
Dance?"
And it was not, it's not.
I like the idea that maybe
Mine
have
is
you
Toggle's
liked?
theme song.
I listen to it every day when I get ready.
I don't know that he has one, but he should.
Hoggle's theme.
It mostly goes dun 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 dun. dun. No, he's a big creep. All right, cool. He poisons a woman for David Bowie. It's cool.
We're making some really strong statements here.
Yep, yep. That's the best part about having a YouTube channel is you get to say your opinion and then people downvote your videos. So yeah, yep. Cool. All right, so we have our favorite song. Now this is done as a group. We are going to define our group's hideout
Oh, yeah.
as well as answer the Game Master's questions. Cool.
Our guest house.
I'm sorry, Bobby. Your privilege is showing. All right, hideout. The kids have a hideout together where they can be alone and safe, away from parent scrutinization. The players should agree on what their hideout is and where it is located. The Game Master may not let NPCs find the hideout unless the kids specifically show it to them. The Game Master may not put the kids in trouble while they're at the hideout. You guys can make up anything you want within reason, and that is where you guys go to hang out. Like the Goonies have one. All these kids from the 80s have this one location where they go, maybe look at nudie mags, maybe just hang out, play Nintendo, which you guys do not have. You know.
I read the articles in the Playboy.
Perfect. Wow, did you in the comics? I think they have jokes or something. I don't know. Right. So, hideout. what are some cool things that you guys might be thinking? They can be slightly fantastical, but not too far out there. Like, you guys can't just have, like, the husk of an AT-AT, you know? God
That's kind of
bless
what I
Ray.
was thinking. Well, that was a...
Can we already have stuff
No,
stolen,
Force
like
Awakens.
some technology borrowed, from the loop, from the generator, the site?
Yeah, I
Oh.
mean, there could absolutely be, like, one of these bigger construction robots that is kind of falling apart or into disrepair and stuff like that.
Just hanging out.
Something like that
What
is
about, like, part of a hover train that, like, sometimes, like, just train cars will get abandoned out in the woods?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so this is
I
like
did.
right before they switched over to like the particle acceleration. So it's a
Maybe
much
it's like an
older.
old, not even a hover train. Maybe it's just an old train car
Yeah.
they don't use anymore.
Right, that's, yeah. Yep.
I'm down with that.
An old train car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are
And-
It's just like
boxcar
on the edge
children.
of town, not too far outside of town, but obviously not right in the middle of town.
Okay. And maybe it was, like, kind of ran off of, like, the main line and just kind of
Can I
forgotten
see that
about.
map when you're done?
Yeah. It was a caboose. Cabooses are much cooler.
Yeah, I have a secondary one. So, what was the train car mostly used for? Was it freight or was it a passenger car? Because I kind of like.
Freight.
I mean, it's up to you guys. Because like a freight car is just gonna be empty, wooden.
Yeah.
It's gonna be kind of dangerous a little bit. But you guys might have made
Yeah,
it your own.
passenger cars
But
are a
passenger
lot
car would be
cooler.
really cool as a kid.
Yeah. And it was like not like super fancy, but like they had seats facing each other. So we could just like have meetings.
Yeah, I definitely like that because then you guys have like nooks for different
Okay.
things. You know,
Step into my office.
This is
Yep.
my aisle.
there might even be like.
What was it? Was it a dining car?
Because I was thinking there might be like cabinets or
Yeah.
cupboards or
Tables,
something.
like the...
There's like a bar. Obviously there was no liquor left in it,
Yeah.
but they had a bar in there.
We can still pretend and dream.
So mechanically, when you guys go to your hideout, you can heal conditions, but only if there are 2 or more kids present and they are physically or mentally close to each other. For example, hugging, telling secrets or stories, confronting or comforting one another. The kids can put themselves in trouble during one of these scenes. If they do, they don't heal conditions while doing that. So, right. So is everybody pretty happy with a kind of passenger train car fell into disrepair? You know, the seat covers are a little bit torn. It's you know, some of the windows might be smashed out. So,
But we can empty it
it's-
out with
it's-
kid stuff.
Yeah, it's still thoroughly
bitchin'.
yours, and nobody's aware of it. Yeah.
I like it.
What is the name of your hideout? Do you have one?
Ooh.
I think the nerd kids probably would have named
Yeah,
it.
I would have named something really. I would have
I
done
would
like
have
the
just been
train.
like, this is where I smoke.
Because another thing too, in between this and our first session, we can actually look up like a train company from the 60s or something, and maybe that's written on the side or something.
Yeah.
We can just make it up too.
What about like Helm's Deep? Like just stealing straight from something super nerdy.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great.
I like that better than Star Wars, thank you.
It's not.
And I'm just like, I don't know what it means, so cool.
Yeah, cool. Is it like football stuff?
Are we already writing
Okay,
that one
helmet.
down? Have we gone there? Okay.
Did you guys forget about it's helmets deep, right?
We're going to helmet later, right?
Helmet. Oh.
Frodo lives? Why is that? Why are you spray painting that on here?
Yeah, I love that that's spray painted like on the side of the train car.
Yeah.
You guys did that first day, and then you kind of regretted it
Yeah.
since.
We have to look at it. We're too short. It was really low down on the train.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to ask some questions for the kids, some of the stuff that we haven't already covered, and then just, a lot of this stuff will be just making up on the fly, and then stuff as a group. So, let me take a look at some of this stuff. All right, so for Michael, for your character, Bobby, how has your problem gone from bad to worse lately with your grades?
Exactly that. The grades keep slipping and slipping.
But what is causing that? Are you more interested in girls? Are you,
I think I think it's girls. I think there's the thought. I think he definitely thinks he's dumb because he lives with this one, so he doesn't necessarily feel smart.
Look what you've done.
I didn't want to be the villain of this story, but like,
You tore apart our family.
no.
You're the reason Mom and Dad are getting divorced.
Oh.
I think there is girls, and then it's also he's like, well, it doesn't matter. I don't have to have good grades as long as I'm really good at sports.
Okay.
even if
Deal.
it's
So
following
the
in the
closer
footsteps
you-
of his father.
The closer you get to graduating, the more you're like, grades aren't important to me. I'm very.
I'm gonna get a scholarship on
Okay.
on baseball.
I want to make the pros.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but he's only 15. But so I guess he's already having a skewed view because he's like, well, there's only so many more years I have to do it, but it doesn't matter because like I will get a scholarship with this.
Okay, so are you pretty set on wanting to get out of town, kind of the second you graduate?
The other song I was looking at was Small Town Boy.
Okay.
So yes.
kind of following up with this idea too is you're fairly close with your sister.
But
What
I
are-
also want to get out.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about leaving versus leaving your sister behind? I know she's only 3 years younger than you, so she'll be fine. But at the same time, how are you
But
coming to terms with that?
It's
as a big
also
brother?
hard. I think in his mind he's like, well, I'll leave her my baseball. Like that'll help her get through things, even though like it's not. It's like, oh cool, I have your baseball.
You even talk to her like that too. Like one day when I leave, you'll have my
I
lucky
don't think
baseball,
so.
and she's just like, "But I'd rather have my brother." And you're like, "Cool, cool."
Baseball it is.
You can have
I'll
it now.
even sign it for you, so one day it'll be worth a lot of money. Because kids think sports balls
Yeah.
signed by stuff
And that's
equals
just
money.
exactly just like, no, love, please, can we all just be happy?
Yeah. And then a door downstairs slams with your mom and dad arguing.
Man, I'm miserable.
And you just hear, pizza. I can get pizza at work.
Deal. What do your parents do?
I think Dad, because we're not off bad, I think he is either an electrical engineer or a high-ranking business official for the reactor.
Yeah,
Okay.
works at the site.
And I think Mom still actually has her own career as well.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not necessarily. I'm trying to think what other fields would have been really relevant
Right.
with partial acceleration.
Yeah. They both work at the Loop?
I don't think they both work at the Loop.
Okay, because she could work at, there's, obviously this town is full of amenities, so she could work at a hospital, she could work
Right.
at,
Coldwell Banker.
Well, I don't like them
Or she
working-
doesn't work at all.
But I think, I think I have to have her be out of the house for me
Okay.
to hang out. I
Then
mean,
she
I guess.
is. No, then she
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure works.
Yeah.
She has her own career.
But I don't like her being at the reactor because then it's just like you can't have the excuse of like, I had to stay late for work. Wink.
yeah, because putting them at two different places creates tension
Mm-hmm.
and suspicion and stuff like that too.
Let's pick one right now.
I was going to say she could work at a restaurant as a server or...
I think she's probably wicked smart. I think I'm the disappointment with the brains in the family. So they expect those things. Yeah, they expect it. So maybe I'm capable. We'll find out in season 2.
Okay, so what... Stay
You're
tuned!
16 in season 2, Michael!
So is she a lawyer? Or is she
I was actually thinking either law or
Doctor.
doctor.
Yeah, I like maybe the idea that she is maybe a legal or a risk management thing at the facility, and maybe he is either maintenance or security, and maybe she has more prestige than he does, and that might cause tension in the marriage already.
Okay.
Is that she's the breadwinner, she is the more elevated status at the Loop.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Because that could create tension in the relationship, stuff like that. So then it won't be necessarily money problems so much as just hierarchy and kind of stereotypes of the 80s and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it's any money
Yeah.
problems that are...
Money is the problem.
no problems.
Deal. All right, so
You're so dumb.
You probably think this song is about you.
I'm gonna have each one of you answer this question. What does your room look like? And we'll start with Abby and go around backwards.
I think my room looks very much just like little lights and books everywhere, just the most little fantasy room.
Okay, so
Very
almost
normal.
like Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little, yeah, and I want to say that there's a reading nook by a window kind of thing, because that's what I always wanted as a child. Mom.
We're an hour and a half into character creation. If she's still watching, God bless you, Abby's mom.
We love you, Kathy. No, yeah, just very cozy.
Okay.
And
Is there posters of David Bowie up? Mostly just his package from the labyrinth.
no, because I'm 12 and I'm I don't know.
Okay, not quite there yet.
Not quite.
Yeah.
One day.
There is a movie poster of the labyrinth, but you're like, wow, what an adventure that would
There's
be.
something about that's
Yeah,
doing
that's-
something.
It makes you lock your door at night.
No,
But you're not sure why. Yeah. Okay. So just very cozy, dimly lit, but like Christmas lights.
Yeah.
It's very much like quiet place to read. Right. Let's go to Terry.
All right. So mine it's a very small room. It looks like just your typical like what a teenage kid would think a punk room would look like.
So like
So
bed on the floor even.
Right, and he's got pictures of all these like punk bands, but they're not like posters. They're stuff ripped out of magazines and put on the wall.
Okay.
He's got like a picture of Ronald Reagan with darts in it.
Oh,
He's a punk. You're supposed to hate Ronald Reagan.
Yep.
And then he has the only thing he has of value is a tape player, but it's like an old crappy one.
Like a cassette player.
But that's the only thing that's clean in the entire room is just that.
There's like a shelf or like a table specifically just for that.
And you
like,
just see tapes all over the place. Like, and they're recorded tapes.
deal. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, he does that.
They're
thing
mixed tapes from the radio. Yep.
Right.
And he probably has like 3 different locks on his bedroom door.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though it's made of plywood and you just kick
Yeah. This is the 3rd door Dad's been through this month.
I'm sure you guys have seen it. Just has like 2 wood panels and then it's hollow in the middle. It's one of those doors.
Oh jeez. Okay. Ethan, what does your bedroom look like?
So my room is like it's pretty messy. There's lots of like Dungeons and Dragons posters. There's lots of character sheets spread about, and there's also lots of like little tech things, like little computer parts or like calculators that have been like ripped open and like tinkered with. And so there's just like a lot of that's kind of scattered throughout the room.
Okay. So is it fairly messy then?
Yes.
But it's like an organized chaos?
It's something that if I need to find something,
Yeah.
I can.
Yep.
If anyone else wants to, good luck.
Yeah. Deal. Bobby, what does your room look like?
I'm trying to think of, who would be a pinup model at this point in time? Because there's absolutely a
Probably
pinup
like
poster.
Cindy
Farrah
Crawford.
Fawcett?
Marilyn Monroe.
Yep.
Okay.
Always, yeah.
There's
Yep. Always.
There's a
Yep.
Marilyn Monroe poster somewhere in my room. The bed is always forever unmade. There's sports stuff all over the floor. It reeks of athlete and teenage boy.
Just like onions and socks.
And you can't find anything in the room ever.
Okay. Deal.
When did that Farrah Fawcett red swimsuit poster come out? Do you know?
I'm sure it was 70s or early 80s.
Oh, but there's also some like sports paraphernalia too, not just titty posters.
Deal. Okay.
There's a Pete Rose picture.
Right. So I'll ask Daniel, what is your experience with robots?
I would say I have the most out of anyone.
Yeah.
It's pretty minimal.
Okay.
Like, we've seen a couple robots come into town, but they're very basic things. They are more complex machinery than they are, like, artificial intelligence type things.
What if your dad is also like a repair person?
Yes.
Yeah, because some of the more wealthier people might have some sort of service robot for their house and stuff like that.
And I think that's the majority of exposure that I have to them is
Okay.
like, oh, our cleaning robot broke. Can you fix it? And then my dad will fix it and show me and be like, this is how this works kind of thing.
Cool. Deal. I'm going to say Christy, what do you want to work at when you grow up? What do you want to do when you grow up?
Ooh. I think I want to be a teacher.
Okay. Deal.
Like my
Very much following in her
Yeah.
footsteps.
yes,
Miss Stevens.
Mrs. Stevens.
Ms. Stevens. Yeah, I like how you say Ms. Stevens, and every time she kind of sighs a little bit.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
so was she married before,
pets
or
over
is she
18 cats.
single?
Ooh, I think
'Cause
she
it's-
was married before.
It would almost be more tragic if she still went by Mrs. Stevens, even though her husband had died.
Oh, and I was just like, no, it's Ms. Like I don't understand.
Oh, no,
I
you
don't
understand the
understand.
etiquette?
Yeah, I don't understand why she keeps saying Mrs. Because I'm like, no, you realize that once like it's Ms.
You're
yeah.
single now.
Mrs. Stevens,
You
you're
get back
dumb as
up.
my brother.
No, I love my brother.
You're book smart, just not street smart.
Yeah, a little bit. Mrs. Stevens.
Deal. Terry, what do you dream about at night?
It's stressful stuff. He has those classic dreams of like trying to accomplish something but never being able to do it. Like you get into a sword fight and as soon as you swing it, the sword curls up.
Oh,
or you
geez.
punch somebody in the face and they don't even ever hit you back, but you just hit them and there's no effect ever.
Okay.
So it's just frustrating dreams.
Deal.
Not necessarily nightmares, but they're just frustrating.
Okay. Taking a step back to what do you lie when you're lying in bed trying to fall asleep? What do you fantasize about your future, and like how do you see your future in your mind's eye?
I think he just thinks about not having responsibilities. Just being like, he wants to get out and not have to worry about anybody but himself.
Deal.
He was an anchor man.
Yeah.
What do you guys most often fight about?
I feel like we probably fight about how important school is.
It's not that important.
It's not that important.
But it is.
But it's like the most important.
I think that we kind of just fight about like these two just wanting to be do everything right, do everything by the book, and then I'm just like, guys, stop being squares.
Right. Well, and like just priorities in general.
Right.
Like it's like we're like, no, you need to prioritize school, and these guys are like, man,
Sports are
ball.
cool.
Yeah.
And I think they get pissed at me probably because I don't give a shit about his grades. Because I've seen what being an athlete did for my dad, and I'm just like, don't worry about that shit, dude.
We try to be like, but like, don't you need him as your like just
Right.
saying like, if he doesn't get his grades up, you won't have him as a teammate. It's like, oh well.
Yeah, I don't even care about sports. I just do it because I'm good at it.
So, for my sake,
Right.
what keeps your character wanting to get better as a person? Because you've seen sports doesn't really get you anywhere. You don't care about school all that much. What keeps you from spiraling out of control to where you drop out of school?
I think that he has a understanding of needing to be able to take care of himself and his father. Because he doesn't love it, but he also like can't not take care of his dad. So he knows like if I drop out of school, I need at least a high school diploma to get a decent job to be able to not. And he also like doesn't. Well, he does think towards his future. So he's like, if I have a family, I don't want them to grow up like I did.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's. I think he talks more about not caring than he really doesn't care.
Gotcha. Deal. So when you guys hang out at your hideout, what is like the default thing to do as a group hanging out?
Throw a sports ball around.
Don't just throw baseball around.
Like, when you guys are at the hideout, what makes the four of you friends?
I think I've tried to make everyone play D&D. I don't know. I doubt that would be successful though.
But you
No.
tried so hard.
Try every time we meet.
Like, hey, I wrote a campaign for us if you
I actually already rolled your characters for you guys.
I've always
Last
kind
night
of
you guys
pictured
hit
it
level
as,
3.
He plays all the characters.
Nintendo Kyle killed the dragon. He still plays with Nintendo Kyle in his heart.
I've always kind of pictured it as me and Bobby hanging out and Ethan and Christy hanging out, and then we occasionally will come together. Like,
I think he made a pitching. No, I can pitch, but he made like a hitting machine. That way, like we can throw it or like practice catching
Right.
it.
Okay, yeah. So like he kind of builds cool stuff that you guys do. You guys play sports ball a little bit.
we can
You
smoke and
probably
drink.
like D&D enough because you're a bookworm and it's
Right.
Lord of the Rings, but you're the main character.
Right.
Yeah, so you
And
probably
I
like
like
that
following
enough.
him around.
Yep. And so like
'Cause
secretly,
I love you.
secretly you kind of hope that Bobby and Terry will come around for D&D, but it's probably not going to happen.
I think
secretly they hope you guys will come around to sports ball. It's not going to happen.
D&D happens like as we are playing sports ball.
They're like,
And
yeah,
we're just
roll
like,
a dice for
we
me.
go to the tavern.
Yeah.
We get drunk.
It's
we play as
every
murder
cringe.
hobos.
It's every cringe middle school game you've ever tried to play. Yep.
I feel like it's also a lot of, like, this is probably when our tutoring sessions happen, actually.
Okay.
And so it's a lot of, Bobby, we need to finish this math homework. And you're like, screw you, I'm going to go pitch.
And then I go outside while you're tutoring him and throw the baseball against the train to try to disrupt it.
Thunk. Thunk.
Perfect.
Thunk.
Perfect. Alrighty. I think that thoroughly concludes our character creation and sort of world introduction.
I've never felt this strong about like a character in a world before. This is weird.
It's because you created the best dad of all time.
It's mostly just Jeff at this point.
Can you just play as Jeff?
I don't think I'm allowed to.
Listen, I love
that's our other
Ethan,
campaign.
but-
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll
I'll
be
get to play with Jeff next year. I'll be an adult.
How old's Nintendo Kyle? We need to do a...
That's in game.
Yeah,
We'll find out.
Nintendo Kyle's
Stay tuned. So that will conclude our character creation. I know this episode was a bit longer than our other content, so I hope you found some value out of it. I hope you enjoyed the mindless and utterly hopeless banter that we engaged in. Like Daniel said, we have a lot of stuff in Foundation, and I'm really excited to see where this game goes forward from here. So we will see you soon for the first episode of Tales from the Loop.